Well, good evening, everybody. It's around not that it matters, about 4 o'clock p.m. here, Arizona time, on November the 4th, Saturday, and this is Heddon rod repair number 2. So hope you bear with me here on this. In my previous video, I was mistaken as to what exactly which rod this is. It is indeed a 104, I believe, a little, very short Heddon bamboo fly rod, and its actual date is 1935, not as earlier recorded. You can see by the red agate guides that it is a rod that was only produced 1 year. And as I said last time, I went ahead and relaminated the bamboo here using an epoxy film in here. It was a little deteriorated, and you know, this is my first attempt at attempting to do this, so you experts out there, please bear with me. I have attempted to polish the German silver fittings here. Not harshly. I'll do that later before I either display or use this rod. But what I've done, one of the guides was, actually two guides were missing. I had the original guide here, this red agate German silver guide, which I have rewrapped. This is incomplete, obviously. I just rewrapped it. Takes some time, and what I did, I originally glued the guide to the rod and oriented it in the right direction here on one of the flats on the bamboo slats, and then just tacked it with a little wood glue, and then went ahead and, using surgical instruments that I found in an estate sale here, this is my hemostat, and that was the second guide. And unfortunately, I don't have another agate guide, and I did find a provider online, but he refused to send me one, even though I was willing to pay for it. He was more interested in me sending the rod, so I'd pay him hundreds of dollars to fix it. So I just decided to do it myself. What I did, I overwrapped the front of the guide, and I'll clean this up. I'll clean this up later. It's just lightly tacked. This is a guide that I sacrificed from another vintage rod that I found. I just cut this old Wright McGill rod up here, and hopefully that's not worth a lot of money. I don't really. So what I do, I have the hemostat hanging here as weight, just like you would if you were tying flies. And then I have this old Wright McGill guide, which is a darker colored agate, but I guess it could be colored if you really wanted to color it, but I plan mostly to display this rod. And I overwrapped the front of the guide a little bit using silk thread, and then tried to reproduce the way the threading was on the back as best I could. There is some slight delamination in here, right in here, but it's very minor, and I think it will be easily repaired. Okay, well, let's go to the other part of the rod here. What I've done is polished hem a little bit. This original silk threading was starting to disintegrate, so what I've done is just barely rewrapped it, just very lightly, and glued it with a PVA cement. And I eBayed a reel for it, and this is the one I picked. I figured this was quite period. I don't know if you can quite make that out, but it's an old Union Hardware Sunnybrook, one of the small reels. It wasn't expensive. It's just, I think it's probably correct for the period. I guess more importantly on this particular rod was a deterioration of the cork handle, and I'm still working on this. What I've done is tried to fill in where the cork was missing using first a coarse cork mixture with wood glue, and then a little more aggressive, finely honed cork mixture, and filled in those gaps where there was. I'm sorry, guys, that is a wine cork at the end of the rod that I machined down and put in there. And I think originally it would have had a silver end cap on it, so I'm still searching for that at the estate sales. But I think the rod's usable. I'm going to clean this up a little bit and continue to refinish it, and then possibly use a very, very light stain of some kind to have the cork appear to be a little more natural. But hey, at least it's a usable handle at this time. And I love the little non-self-winding little spool here from Sunnybrook of Torrington, Connecticut. I think that's really cool. I'm looking forward to going out and catching a couple trout with this, as I said before. Another thing too, the handle was a little loose in here. So what I've done is I've reaffixed this little ferrule here. I've pulled that down and reattached it, and went ahead and rewrapped the lower part of that. And you can see the original Heddon signature there, as well as the deteriorated 102 or 104 or whatever it is. But that, I'm not an expert on these rods, but. And also I did rewrap up here as well. Right up in here I rewrapped him, because those threads have been sitting in a barn for 80 years. So my next step, I think, other than refinishing the cork, finishing up that little job, the reel's been lubricated, it works quite well. Probably take some very clear PVA cement and go ahead and finish off these wrappings. That's it. Thank you.